So we're going to do the review of Daf Zion, which is half in Perik Elohim. Sorry, half in Perik Ketzad Ha'edim. Half of it's about Edim Zomim, the Perik Edim Zomim. Half of it is in the Perik of Elohim Agolim. Okay, so the Daf Zion starts off with the Mishnah, which has three discussions, really, three different topics in the Mishnah. Number one is the case of Borach. Somebody was judged in one Bezdin and he ran away. Now, when he comes into a second Bezdin, does he get a retrial or not? Does he get a retrial or not? That's topic number one. And the Mishnah actually has, in that, says there's a difference in Oisei Bezdin. Well, not, there's a difference, talks about two cases, the case of Oisei Bezdin and the case of Bezdin Shel Ploni, it's a case where it's a different Bezdin. And the Mishnah is mashman in both cases. Taka is going to be Yehareg. They don't do a retrial. They don't look into it again. That's topic number one. Topic number two in the Mishnah is with regards to the fact that Sanhedrin is noig by Eretz Yisrael of Chutz La'aretz. That calls man. Sanhedrin is sitting in Eretz Yisrael and is being done in Eretz Yisrael. Other Sanhedrins can be done in Chutz La'aretz as well. And finally, the third topic is how often it's appropriate for Sanhedrin to find themselves in others to kill people. And there's different days. Tanakama says that a Sanhedrin which kills once in 7 years is too much. Chovlanis is considered a dangerous bezdin, a murderous bezdin. And the Rabbi Lezman Azari says once every 70 years. And finally, the Tarf and Rabbi Kiva say that we would never have killed anybody. So those are the three topics in the Mishnah. Number one, a guy runs from one bezdin to another. Still, we don't do a retrial. At least that's the mashmos. We'll see in the Gemara. Some certain cases where we do a retrial, but the Mishnah itself sounds like in the cases that it discusses, we don't do a retrial. Sanhedrin noheges b'aretz v'chutz la'aretz. That's topic number two. And topic number three is how often is it considered? How often should a bezin be killing people? How often should it be giving out the death penalty? So the first piece of the Gemara deals with the first topic of the Mishnah. And asks the steer that l'chora there's a steer between the Reisha, so to speak, and the Sefer the Reisha. In this, the beginning of the Mishnah implies that Oisei Bezdin, only when it's the same Bezdin do we not do a retrial, while the next case seems to imply always. We never do a retrial, right? But Mishnah, if the Oisei Bezdin ain't says in his din, and then says no, Kol Makom Shiam D'Shnayim, any situation where two people come and say that Reuven was tried in such and such a Bezdin, now and then he ran away. They straight away kill him without a retrial. So it's a stira. So the Gemara answers, there's a distinction made between Eretz Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz. When it's Eretz Yisrael, so then it depends whether it's the same Bezdin or not. When it's the same Bezdin, then there's no retrial. But when it's another Bezdin, there is a retrial. The Gemara will explain soon the reason. And when it's another Bezdin, then it doesn't make a difference. When it's another Bezdin, when it's in Chutz La'aretz, so then it doesn't make a difference. That's what I mean. When in Chutz La'aretz, so then even if it's the same Bezdin, even if it's another Bezdin, it doesn't make a difference. So just to re-say that, the Gemara asks for stira between the beginning of the Mishnah, which says that which implies that only in the same Bezdin there's no retrial. Sounds like if there was another Bezdin sitting on the case, ran from one Bezdin to another, and he would do a retrial. And then the next case says otherwise, that even in another Bezdin, Yaharik. The Gemara answers it depends. In Eretz Yisrael, that's when there's a difference between this Bezdin and another Bezdin. That if it's the same Bezdin which moves, relocated from Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael, there's no retrial. But if it's another Bezdin, then there is a retrial. And the same for the next case in the Mishnah, which seems to imply that no difference. Even if it's another Bezdin, there's no retrial. It's talking about Chutz La'aretz. And the Gemara explains that we can see this in a brisa, which says that somebody who runs from Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael gets a new retrial, and we have to explain he's talking about different bezdin, and the reason is because of Chutz Shel Eretz Yisrael. Meaning to say that the logic over here is like this: we don't do a retrial usually because why should we do a retrial? They look through all the different situations, all the different arguments pro against, and they decided that he's chayiv misa. So why should you do a retrial? Doesn't make a difference whether it's the same bezdin, another bezdin. What's the other bezdin going to find that the first bezdin didn't see? So the answer is that's true generally speaking, but in Eretz Yisrael, where you have the combination where it's both the Eretz Yisrael and the new Bezdin, so then we say that perhaps the Chus of Eretz Yisrael will make the new Bezdin see things differently, and give them and they'll find his Chus for the Niddah. We asked, and then we go to the second topic. The second topic is Sanhedrin Neheges Baritz Yisrael v'Chutz Laaretz. So we say, well, what's the Makkos for this? That both in Eretz Yisrael and Chutz Laaretz. So we bring Psukim. The Derisechem teaches us that Sanhedrin Neheges Baritz v'Chutz Laaretz. Then the Gemara asks that the Bisharecha, the pasuk Bisharecha, seems to imply that it's only in Eretz Yisrael. So the Gemara basically says it depends. In Eretz Yisrael, there's a chiyuv of a Sanhedrin in every region and in every city as well, not just in right? In Chutz Laaretz, a few cities could have the same bezdin, and that's good enough. Finally, we get to the last topic, the Mishnah, which is the Sanhedrin, which kills too often, is considered chavlanis. So we said that Rabbi Loz ben Azari said once in 70 years. Those are his words. The question of the Gemara is once in 70 years weiter called chavlanis? Is it called the dangerous, or is once in 70 years the usual? So the Gemara says, take, we don't know. And then the final discussion of the Gemara of this parak and this Amud, before we get to Elin Agoylin, is with regard to Ilu Hayinu. Reb Tarfon says, if we win the Sanhedrin, we wouldn't kill anybody ever. So the Gemara's obvious question is, what do you mean? If someone's chayiv misa, how are you going to get around killing him? How are you going to find a situation where you're not going to kill him? How could they claim that if we win the Sanhedrin, we would never have killed somebody? The Gemara basically says that they would ask very difficult questions. And the examples that the Gemara gives is that they would ask if Treifa Harag Shalim Harag, did you see whether someone who kills a treifa is not chayiv misa? In a murder case, at the very least, they would ask the Aiden, did you see that he was a shalim? Did you see that he was a healthy person? If he was a treifa, if he was someone who's going to die anyway, the nida, in other words, the nerag, the person being killed, then the hayreg, the murderer, is not chayiv misa. And even if they said shalim harag, the Gemara continues. Even if they say no, we checked him after the misa and we saw that he was. There was nothing missing. There was nothing wrong with him. But maybe b'makom sayif nekavava, the place where he stabbed him, there was a neck. The Gemara then asks, okay, that's fine for a murder case. What about Boilas Arva? The Chura, in such a situation, you don't have the same argument of that he's a treifa. So the Gemara answers that they would ask him. They would have asked him. In other words, Tarfon and Rabbi Kiva would have asked, were they in the bezdin? They would have asked that, did you see Mamish Kimachoba Shafafaris? Did you Mamish see the act clearly? And since most times they wouldn't actually be able to see that, so they would let the Boilas Arva off the hook. And then the Gemara concludes by saying, just a second, if that's the case, that you need to see Kimachoba Shafafaris, so then what about the Rabbanon? What about the Tanakam and the Rabbanon who would kill sometimes the Boilas Arva? How would they kill the Boilas Arva? So the Gemara says, Atakash goes like Shmuel. Shmuel holds that you don't actually have to see clearly the act. As long as you see Menafim behaving as if they're doing niyuf, that's good enough. Okay, so that's the Amud Aleph of Zayin Amud Aleph, and finishes Perik to the Edom. And now move on to the overview of Zayin Amud Beis Elin Agoylin. And here the Mishnah basically gives started with the Mishnah. The Mishnah gives 3 examples of Derech Yerida, 3 examples of Derech Aliyah, 3 examples where someone who's hiring Nefesh Bishgaga is Chayev Galus, and 3 examples where he's part from Galus. The 3 examples which is Chayev Galus are all examples of Derech Yerida, where he's involved in a downward act. He's bringing something down. Either he's smoothing a roof and he's busy rolling the roller down, or he's lowering a drug, or he is going down a ladder. In all those cases, if he ends up killing somebody, so then he's goyla because he's involved. It was Derech Yerida. And then the Mishnah says, however, if it was the other way around, that he was pulling the roller up, or he was bringing a jug up, and the rope snapped and the jug fell. So he was going up a ladder. So in all those situations, since he's doing an upward activity, and then he kills somebody, so then he's not goyla. It's not considered. He's not chayiv galus. Why taki is not chayiv galus? The Gemara straight away addresses the pasuk of Vayapal of Vayomis Ashir B'Darech Nefila, but passages is Zeis HaKasav. We mentioned in the Shiur earlier that the Rambam says that in such a situation, it's not even a shoygig. It's like karev la'oinus, because you don't expect, when you're pulling something down, you expect to fall. When you're involved in an upward activity, you don't expect to fall. It's less likely, and therefore it's not considered shoygig. It's karev la'oinus. It's closer to something which is totally beyond your control, and therefore you're not chayiv galus. Then the Gemara basically goes through Psukim and gives other examples besides for Derech Aliyah, other examples where you're not chayev. First of all, Mezid and Miskavan. The Gemara asks on both of them. And L'chura, Mezid and Miskavan are both cases of where you chayev misa. You don't need a pasuk, you don't need a brisa to tell me that it's not included in Chayev Galus when you chayev misa. And the Gemara answers that Mezid is not kipshuta, and nor is miskaven not kipshuta. In other words, mezid doesn't mean you intentionally murdering somebody and you know it's not allowed. It's talking about you attack intentionally killing somebody, but it's oime mutar. You think it's mutar. In such a situation, it's not you parted from Galus despite not being Chayiv Misa, because it's like a Shoigeg Karev Lemezid. The Gemara says that Abaya asked Rava, that what do you mean? It's oinus oime mutter. The Gemara says no. Rava responded back, I hold that oime mutter is karev lemezid. That's why the Brisa calls it mezid. And with regards to miskavan, the Gemara says it's talking about a situation where you didn't intend to kill a yid or a bona fide yid. You intended to kill an animal. You intended to kill a nefal. You intended to kill a guy, and you killed a yid. In other words, you had an intention to kill somebody. So that's not included in Shoigi. Shoigi is whether you have no intention whatsoever to kill somebody, you ended up killing somebody. But if you had intention to kill an animal or nefal or a guy and you ended up killing a yid, that's not included in the category of Shoigi. Why not? Is it pshat karv lemezid or karv la'inus? Let's leave that for now. Then we continue by saying another brisa. The brisa goes to the pasuk in Bethesa, different cases, and the Gemara says that the Karen Zovis is excluded from Galus. Soine is excluded from Galus because he's Karv Lemezid. Hadafai means that he pushed him with his guf. The words of Hishtechalav in the Pasuk includes Yerida Shila Tzarech Aliyah, even where the Yerida, you get involved in a downward activity, but the reason why is, right, like you're bringing something down in order to bring it up. Is that considered Aliyah Yerida? You say that from the Pasuk is understood that it doesn't matter what the purpose of why you're bringing something down, but if you're bringing it down, that's considered Yerida, even if the purpose, even if it's Yerida L'Tzarech Aliyah. In other words, Yerida L'Tzarech Aliyah is Yerida over here. Not usually. Usually Yerida Shila L'Tzarech Aliyah is like, you look at it as a positive thing. Yerida Shila L'Tzarech Aliyah here is considered Yerida. The Loit Tzediyah and Asher Loit Tzada is coming to exclude cases where you had Kavana for one side and it went to another side. You had Kavana for 2 amas. The arrow should go 2 and it went 4. And finally, Asher Yovesh Re'eu B'yar, the fact that the Pasuk gives an example of someone being in a forest, you're only chayav galos if you both have a right to be there. Or alternatively, you both have an equal right to be there. But if one of you has a right to be there, you're the balabayas, the hoyrik has a right to be there, the nerag, the person being killed, doesn't have the right to be there. You walked into your garden without rishus, you walked into your courtyard without rishus, so then taka, you're not chayav galos. So it has to be like a yar where you both have the equal right to be there. And then there's this is really how the Gemara finishes. Till the end of the Yom, till the next mission, the Gemara is busy dealing with a situation where you're going up the ladder, but it's not like the Mishnah where you're going up the ladder and you fall. Rather, it's a case where you're going up the ladder and the shliva, the rung, falls out of place and kills somebody. So the question is that considered derech yerida, derech aliyah? And the way Rashi explains the question is, do we look at the fact that you're going up and it's derech aliyah and you should be part from Galus? Or do we say no, but the shliva it was going down and therefore it's chayiv and galus? And the answer is that we take a look at the shliva, and even though the shliva is going down is the tzarech aliyah, in order to serve the person going up, it's yerida shila tzarech aliyah, which we already said is considered a yerida, and you take a chayiv galus. That was Rabbi Yochanan's answer to Ravo. The Gemara just asked a kasha. The Ravo asked a kasha to Rabbi Yochanan. The Mishnah seems to say extra cases where you're not goyla. Right, at the end of the Mishnah it says kol shaloi b'derech yiridas ain't a goyla. Anything which is loy derech what's it adding? The Mishnah already gave examples of things which were derech aliyah, which are not goyla. So the Rava understood that it's coming to include such a case, the shliva, where you're going up the ladder, but the shliva is going down, and such a situation, because ultimately it's derech aliyah, it's not derech yiridasa, you're going up the ladder, it's ain't a goyla. So Kashan Rabbi Yochanan paskin that it's derech yirida. So the Gemara answers a no. Because either way, you have to explain the beginning of the Zakal. The Zakal wasn't just talking about Klal Derech Aliyah. The Zakal also said that anything which is Derech Yirida is Ta'yeh Goyla. What's that including? So you have to explain it's including something. So Yitaka says it's including the case of a katzav. Basically, there's a katzav, the butcher, when he cuts meat, he involves himself with, first he lifts up his hand, and then he brings his hand down, and then he brings his hand up again, and then he goes down behind himself, and then he goes up, and then he goes down. So there's lots of different movements. And we have different brises which say, and if you kill somebody while he's involved cutting the meat, there's different brises. One brise says that the fun of chayav la'achrav pata, that he's chayav the fun of, in front of him is chayav, and behind him is pata. Another says the achrav chayav the fun of pata. Another says the fun of la'achrav chayav. The other one says the bein of fun of bein achrav pata. You have all the different combinations, whether you pata in all instances, chayav in all instances, or it depends on whether it's lefanav or la'achrav. Either way, there's steers over, and how do we deal with it? So the Gemara Taka answers that the way we deal with all these steers is that it depends what we're talking about. Just to The Mefaret, that the Brisa which says Lefon of Chayav La'achrav Pata is talking about the Lefon of is Derech Yerida. You're going down, right? The first movement that you do to bring your hand down, and La'achrav Pata is you're going up. You're going up. That's the first one, and he's calling it la'achrav, even though it's taka in front of you, but it's la'achrav. It's moving towards the la'achrav. That's how Rashi learns. V'tanya idok la'achrav chayiv l'fanav pata. The other brisa, which says la'achrav chayiv l'fanav pata, is talking about the different movements which you're doing behind you, right? La'achrav chayiv is talking about where you're going down behind you, and that's why you chayiv, because you're going down. L'fanav pata is taka talking about where you're busy. You're still la'achrav, but you're bringing it up towards you. Right, so it's talking about what's going on behind you and la'achra, right? And the ones which says bein the fun of chayiv and bein the fun of pater are talking both about the yerida which is happening on both sides. So that's the katsav, and that's how we deal with all the different steers in the brisa of katsav. But this also goes back to answer our original question: and what's pshat zak klal kol shebederech yidasi goyla and shaloi bederech yidasi eina goyla? That kol shebederech yidasi goyla. I don't care why you're being yored. The katsav might be going down in order to go up. Right? The first time he is in order to go up, and later when he goes up, sometimes it's in order to go down. Right? When he goes up behind his back, it's in order to go down and cut the meat. I don't care if you're involved in derech aliyah, ain't a goy, if you're involved in derech yerida, you go. Doesn't make a difference. You read the tzarich aliyah, aliyah, the tzarich yerida. What are you doing right now? You're doing yerida, you're goyla, and you're not doing yerida, ain't a goyla. And that's what the zakal is coming to include. And it's not talking about the shliva at all. And we remain with the pshat that the shliva, in the case of the shliva, Rabbi Yochanan is Rabbi Yochanan's din is kayam that in such a situation is considered derech yerida because the shliva ultimately is falling. Now the Gemara asks another question. Rabbi Yochanan, the Tanoim already discussed it. What's Rabbi Yochanan busy talking about something when the Tanoim already discussed it? We have a steer amongst the brises. And one brisa says that when the shliva falls, yichayev. Right? The guy's going up the ladder and the rung falls. One says chayev, one says pater. The Mamish is discussing this question, which Ravo had. Do we consider derech aliyah because the person is going up the ladder? Do we consider derech aliyah because the shliva is going down? So interestingly enough, in the first teretz, the Gemara Taka says Shaloi Deloik Rabbi Yochanan in both ways, but it says that no, the Brisa is discussing is not this. The main point that the Gemara is saying is no, the Brisa doesn't. There's no argument between the Brisas with regard. There's no argument between the Brisas at all. The Brisas are either talking about different cases or different situations, as we'll soon see. But the Brisas are not being done are not nechlak. They're not arguing about this question of Ravav. Either in the first case, they all hold not like Rabbi Yochanan. It's the aliyah. If it's derech aliyah, if it's considered derech aliyah because the guy's going up the ladder, why taka? There's one brisa say chayev. So we say the nizakin. He's not talking about galus at all. He's not talking about where the shliva killed somebody. He's talking about a case where the shliva hurt somebody. In such a situation, you chayev. If it's galus, you taka pata. Second teretz says no. Hav halagalus. We're both talking about galus, and the difference is whether the rung is wormy, whether it's like ruined. The case where it's ruined, so when you step on the old ruined rung, so if it's wormy, you actually the rung actually goes down when you step on it. But if it's not wormy, it doesn't go down. And another pshat is no. Both in the final pshat, both are not talking about when it's not wormy, but nevertheless, is it tight or is it not tight? Is the rung tight or is it not tight? If the rung is tight, so then if the rung is tight, so then I don't know how it fell, but ultimately it fell. But when you stepped on it, you didn't cause the shliva to go down. It stands firm. And if it's not tight, so then there's taka yerida going on. So that finishes the overview. I don't know, calling it overview. It's really review. The review of Zayin. Okay, I hope that was helpful, everyone. We'll stop over here.